Yes, everybody. Russell, the West Ham Network. Hope you're safe and well. Someone said I don't do it anymore. Good afternoon, West Ham fans. There we go. That's buggered up all your headphones. Russ for the West Ham Safety Network. If you're new around here, give it a like, give it a comment, give it a share, give it a subscribe. Now, yesterday we spoke about Zinchenko, we spoke about the fixture list, we spoke about obviously Budgie and Kieran on as well. We had a couple of live shows yesterday. Now, today I want to talk about money, as according to Clarence Hugh and Sean via Twitter, they have suggested that West Ham or the board will give Graham Potter / 𝙍𝙀𝙋𝙋 70% of sales that come in this transfer window to add to the transfer kitty, so to speak. Now, we were led to be believed back in the end of May that the club had employed a sell to buy policy in terms of there was no money in the pot. There was no water in the well when it came to money. Part of me thinks that's bollocks, I'll be honest, because when Graham Potter signed to become West Ham head coach, firstly, he, as part of that negotiation, would have had some clarity in terms of transfer funds being made available. And even if there's a reluctance to give a number, there would have been a range. So, and B, they wouldn't have spent £1.2 million bringing in 𝙍𝙀𝙋𝙊𝙍𝙏. And similarly, probably spending a good few million getting rid of Tim Steidten if they couldn't do nothing with it. Now, I'm not saying a massive budget, because actually someone like Carl, traditionally they operate on, for Brighton, they operated, him and his team operated on a smaller budget. And yeah, that's fine. But to have no money available is, I think, I don't think that's right. I don't think that's true. People will turn to the PSR chart that was on the Athletic. There's been various commentary on that and the reliance of that. People have been talking about the likes of Aston Villa, who are, according to that, very, very close to the edge, but actually, based on the money they're going to be, the profit they're going to be posting this financial year, they're well within PSR, where we're the opposite, really. Yes, we look healthy from a PSR perspective at the moment, but what I've been led to be believed, until talking to some football economists, is that the right word? Yeah, economists, yeah, is there's a discrepancy between that and what's going to be posted. Now, if it's true or not, I don't know. That's just what I've been commenting. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a warning sign, because I'm not gaslighting or anything, because I'm going to put this on here now. I'm literally just giving you my opinion in terms of what I think about the whole situation. It's crap. I think the effects of not having Europe, the effect of a poor Premier League season, is obviously having a detrimental effect to the money we have available and the money coming into the club. It's true. I think from a business perspective, if I was if I owned a company and I had £10,000 coming in, I wouldn't spend £10,000. You do keep some money back for not a rainy day, but for contingency. And I get that. Now, in terms of being told that as a fan base, I mean, to be honest, by being told that, it shows for me a lack of forward planning, a lack of financial accountancy in terms of us having to claw back some money with transfer funds in order to ensure we don't fall with any PSR FFP type stuff. That doesn't look good. That's not a good look, is it, really? The flip side is I'd rather be known about it than not known about it. We're all adults, we're all humans, we are all, and if the news is shit, I'd rather know that the news is shit. Particularly now, you're thinking, being told this just as when, applications for new season tickets and the waiting list. So again, it's not great timing in terms of being told this, and indeed we weren't told this before that the original season tickets sort of renewal date had passed, had we really? So I suppose there was timing is obviously key with this. But then I thought, actually, let me have a look at it then and see, what money we've got available potentially to play with. Now, this is in terms of I'm looking at transfers out, and again, the four most likely players to be sold. I haven't included Paqueta because we're still, that's got a massive asterisk by his name. But in terms of the foremost, I think these are the four most likely players that will be sold: Mohamed Kudus, Nafagad, Emerson, and Guerrero Rodriguez. There may be others, there may be, but I think Andy Irvin and stuff like that. But they're not going to go for, those are the four I think most likely in terms of all having a number of clubs after them, having a number of clubs. What am I doing there? Let's go back to that one. There we go. Having a number of clubs after them. These four. We know Kudus has 3 or 4 clubs after him. Aged has 3 or 4. Emerson has a couple. Guerrero has at least 2 clubs after him. So if we put a speculative number, now we know that West Ham are looking at around at least £65 million for Kudus. So we'll put that in as a bare minimum. Aged, 25 million. Seems, Emerson, I've put 12. That might be conservative. Rodriguez, 5 million maybe. You might get 15 for Emerson. You might get 8 for Guerrero, for example. So that combined gives you roughly around 107. Well, actually, he does give you 107 million pounds in terms of money in. Now, obviously, we know also we're not stupid. We know that money is always owed for other clubs. In terms of there'll be some money owed to Ajax for Kudus, and there'll be still some money probably owned to Rennes. Yes, we bought a Ged from Rennes. Emerson with Chelsea, possibly money as well. So there is money. There's no one club is free of debt in terms of players' money in or out. There's always money moving about. But if we're looking at it at a simplistic perspective, so that gives you roughly £107 million to spend. If we put into account the 75% sort of contingency, in terms of 25% contingency, 75%, gives you roughly £80 million to spend. Which, considering we're looking someone like, I don't know, Raphael Odemwingie was about 15 to 20 million pounds. And which is why I've come up with the assumption that we're going to be utilising the loan market, we're going to be utilising the free transfer market, and then it still gives you roughly 18. Obviously, some of that will come out of player wages and player sort of signing on fees and things like that. I get that. But in terms of money, roughly 80 million quid then, if all of those get sold. And if Guerrero doesn't get sold, that takes to 105. That gives you 78 million quid. So on and so forth. So, that sort of gives you a rough estimation in terms of what we've got to spend. And, looking about in terms of the types of players we've been linked with, someone like 𝙍𝙀𝙋𝙋𝙊𝙍𝙍, they were looking about 10, 15 million quid for him because obviously Rem had gone down. No, it's not Rem. He's not a Rem. What's name's at Rem? Bojang's at Rem. We're looking about, I think it was 5, 6, 7 million quid. It was ridiculous. 𝙍𝙀𝙋𝙋𝙊𝙍𝙍 for Saint Etienne, I imagine it'll be looking about 10 to 15 million quid. You've got to assume someone like, I still think someone like 𝙍𝙀𝙋𝙋𝙊𝙍𝙍 comes and does a great job for us in terms of that covering those positions, particularly with Africa Cup of Nations coming up, with potentially Wan-Bissaka out of the picture for a month over a busy sort of Christmas New Year period. I wouldn't be surprised for someone like, as I said, an Aaron Ramsey, a loan with obligation to buy, because next year's a different year, isn't it? Next year's a different year. Next year's on the old never never. And that doesn't include other sales as well. But I think it's damning to sort of come out and say that type of stuff in terms of saying 75%. He's going to be given, we're clawing back 25%. Doesn't look good in terms of the organisation of the club, really. It doesn't. And so I'd rather have been told than not been told as well, if that makes sense. I'd rather know that's the case than us assuming we've got 107 million pounds. Why aren't we spending it? And we only spend 80. Where's the other 27 million pounds? Or we know it's contingency being put in. Doesn't seem a lot of contingency, in all honesty, to be honest. Doesn't seem a lot, which again suggests to me that it's not totally, the world's crashing in on us financially as a club. It's 27 million pound in today's football is not massive amounts of money. It's one half decent, one good player in it, really. So for me, I don't see it necessarily being, the world's coming to an end. But he doesn't put it in a good light. He doesn't put the club in a good light. He doesn't put, the organisation in terms of the setup in a good particular light as well. But I don't know. 80 million. Okay, here's the question below. On that case, you've got 80 million pounds to spend, right? You're Graham Potter / 𝙍𝙀𝙋𝙊𝙍𝙏. In the comments, how do you spend that money? Get the most value out of it. Let us know. Maybe we'll have we'll do a. I tell you what we'll do. That's what we'll do. Yeah, we'll do a prize draw. All right. In the comments below, down there, how would you spend that 80 million pounds? Sensibly, not I'm going to spend it. I'm going to put it on a bungee jump and no, on players. How would you spend that 80 million pounds? That's what we're speculating. And what we'll do is we'll give away what we got here. What we got? We'll give this away. What's that stuff? Might better get it off. Signed print from the Europa Conference League. We'll give that away to one lucky viewer who gives, in my opinion, the most useful use of that money. All right, there you go. Always give you something for free at the West Ham Network. If you want to spend some money, back there we've got the signed Mark Noble 2017-18 shirt, signed by the great man himself, on the front as well. That's going to be coming to an end next Thursday. Only a few people have put in at the moment, so there's a good chance of you winning. The link's in the. Anyway, take care, everyone. Stay safe, stay warm. Don't forget to give it a like. Give it a comment, give it a share, and I'll speak to you guys very, very soon, my friends. Take care. Much love. Bye.